Hey everyone. In this episode of ITS Now, we're showing a film that we produced in 2018. It's highlights of the Intertraffic exhibition in Amsterdam. It was really the first of our proper videos, so I'd be interested to see if you have any comments about it. Styles have changed a little bit. I look a bit older now, but anyway, I think it may be of interest to you. I'm Alistair, and this is ITS Now. So, video vlog for you from Intertraffic 2018. Absolutely massive exhibition here in Amsterdam. Covers everything to do with traffic. Really interesting. Great to have such a huge range of different exhibitors here. We've got all sorts of different insights for you. I've had a little chat with Bill Sal, so have a look out for that as well. And hope you enjoy it. Okay. So one of the things that they do here at Intertraffic is have some innovation awards. So this year the winners include a variety of different types of equipment. Here we've got a piece of kit which is a pedestrian and cycle detector. It goes onto a column next to the carriageway, so it detects people. Another really clever little thing, a lot of intelligent road studs and things like that here this year, a plethora of different types of magnetometers, etc. But this one is a road stud which, although just looks like a standard illuminated stud, actually has a small bezel on the top, so if people are exceeding the speed limit, then it comes up out of the ground, so it acts like a sleeping policeman. And they have a number of those all put in the same location. So it's a dynamic speed attenuation device. There are a few different products here. Some of them aren't that clear exactly what they are, but this is another really clever one. Here it's a weigh in motion device, but instead of just being weigh in motion, it also provides opportunities to get some dimensional information from vehicles, and also to do things like tyre inflation levels as well. So all in all, a very clever little bit of kit, and this is the awards. Anyway, we'll see what else is going on. Okay, so normally at these exhibitions there's a lot of concentration about different types of equipment for sale, but it's really noticeable this year how things have progressed. So there's a lot more emphasis on different types of systems. I'm here on the Siemens stand at the moment, and although there's a few bits of equipment, you know, the sorts of things that you would expect with traffic signals and controller equipment, etc., a lot more of it is about actual systems and software. So we see a lot of different types of things here today, different smart mobility applications, things that help towards smarter city implementations. So they're really pushing their sort of green eco credentials. So we've even got stuff like bicycle systems here, which is something that a few years ago you definitely wouldn't have had. And in that vein as well, what we've also got is things like electric cars. Although probably the best looking car that I've seen this year at the show is this one here on the Siemens stand. It's a Rinspeed car from Switzerland. It's got all sorts of things in it. Looks exceedingly flash. And inside you can see, you know, no steering wheel, great big screen. But probably one of the more surprising aspects of this particular one is it's got a garden in the front. So not really quite sure why that's in there, but anyway, it looks pretty. But you'll see there's lots and lots of displays about platooning vehicles and all the sort of first day services that we're all working towards at the moment. So there's a real mix of different exhibitors here, huge number of different companies. So there's a few familiar names from the UK, a few that, although they work in the UK, we may not be as familiar with, but there's huge numbers of companies here that actually never heard of, which is really surprising. And I think that shows how, you know, the industry is changing. There are new entrants coming in, that there are a variety of different particularly tech companies trying to get involved. I saw there's a big Cisco stand here this year. So there's a lot of different things going on. So I'm on one of the stands today, Aldridge Traffic, and although they're quite well known for things like traffic signal equipment, etc., Australian-based company. So we've got SCADA-based controllers and traffic signal equipment. What they're also doing now is branching out into other types of equipment. So what we've got here is a modular lighting column. Now these things can have a whole variety of different types of equipment on them. And this one's got street lighting, it's got CCTV, it's even got a floodlight on it as well. But these modules just stack in and can provide a whole different range of functionality. You can add in different things like pollution monitoring and air quality, basically anything that you can think of. So that's got a CCTV unit on it as well. But one of the clever things that they've got with this is the fact that it's all connected. So you can actually monitor the operation of the equipment in real time and see all sorts of different parameters. On the display here, you can see that they've got a whole range of different warning issues and flags that they can see. But you can also bring up the electrical consumption in real time and see what's happening. So if there's any problems with it, it will all come up. So I was saying earlier about how the sort of thing that exhibitors have got on their stands, it seems to be changing quite markedly over the last couple of years, but particularly here this year. So a lot more concentration on systems, etc. I'm on the Damat stand, and although they've got a couple of things like their parking systems, the vast majority of their exhibit is more about systems rather than actual equipment shifting. So again, it's all really more about day one stuff rather than regular run-of-the-mill equipment. It's quite interesting to see how these things are changing. So another familiar face, but with a slightly different is Nokia here. They're exhibiting their data connectivity for ITS applications. Got some ruggedized equipment to allow for data to be streamed from the roadside. So this is an example of how things are progressing at the moment. I'm on the ski data stand, so known for parking systems, but see that actually what they're looking at is diversification into other connected data streams and applications. Very swish stand. So looking, how do you multiply your sales channels? Well, you'd think that was about selling parking tickets, but what they're really talking about is extra revenue streams from other sources. So what we've got behind here is about actually connecting your vehicle to book your restaurant or theatre tickets, etc. all about shiny screens and ANPR systems anymore. So there are a number of different types of equipment on display, but this is one that I'm not sure whether it's actually going to provide an effective deterrent. It's a enforcement camera, but they're showing it with a Red Bull branding on it. Maybe just want to get people to go faster. As you probably know, I'm a bit of a sucker for bright, shiny lights, but here we've got something a bit unusual. These vehicle LEDs down here are actually magnetic, so you can take them off when you're not using them. One of the great things coming to Intertraffic is the fact that you get to see some of the really established European companies, see what they're offering. Now here, the Italian company Sky have got things like their traffic signal controllers and signal heads, but like quite a few other continental players, these have got LEDs, LCD screens in them, and all the capabilities that they have with that, and different types of signal heads, etc. And styles of cabinet, and then also alley-star type mounting for those different touch screens on their controllers as well. So it's just a slightly different take on what we're doing, and interesting to see how things develop in a different way. So I'm on the SWACO stand, so Austrian company that make a lot of equipment, but interesting to see that this is one of their new traffic signal controllers. As you can see, there's not very much to it, and one of the reasons for that is the fact that they've got a distributed system. So they've got controllers within each pole to actually turn on and off the signal heads, which means that they can just have a simple cabling system rather than having individual power cables to each pole. They can run a power and data ring around the site. So it's following on from the DINIC system that first established this, and a few other players are now looking at this as well. So anyway, I have been talking to SWACO about this system, and what they're also saying is the fact that they're going to make it open to other manufacturers. So you could be able to add other equipment into their ecosystem. They're very keen to try and push that as a message. So with this, they're looking at the ability to add features such as cameras, and also for connected vehicles, maybe DSRC type capabilities around an intersection. It's one of the sorts of things that I think is obviously going to become far more important. So it'll be interesting to see how that develops over the next couple of years.
Don't forget to click on subscribe to keep up to date with ITS Now.
Okay, so just walking around and I bumped into a familiar face here, Bill. So we've been just looking at some signal controllers here at SWACO, but I just wondered, Bill, what you think about the show overall? Have you got any sort of takeaway thoughts about what's going on here, trends, that sort of thing?
Alistair, thank you very much for that question. It's been very interesting over the last 30 years, seeing how the industry has evolved. Particularly, everything has been now totally reliant upon communications. Everything is interconnected. Yeah. Everything is data related, and obviously traffic engineers have been saying, you know, I want to get all of the real-time data. I want all of the bells and whistles that the modern computing technology can provide, and it's been fascinating. So yeah, the connected intersection and smart city, smart intersections is really the key initiatives driving forward.
I've been interested, you know, my sort of impression has been there's been far more emphasis on systems than equipment.
Yes.
This time round.
Yes.
You know,
definitely.
traditionally you would see, okay, we're here. There's equipment here, but a lot of the companies, instead of actually showing off bits of kits, they're actually showing off their compatibility with day one services and things like that.
That's right.
So yeah, it's been interesting. What are your thoughts also about? There seems to be a lot more sort of Asian representation here. It keeps on increasing each time I come to Intertraffic.
It keeps on increasing, and obviously they're going to at some point make an entry. Obviously the standards and the reputations of the current players in the marketplace is going to be a significant factor in that, however.
I think that's very diplomatically put, if I may say. I think I've certainly got some concerns about some of the kit that I've seen over the years. Maybe not necessarily here this time, but yeah, it's interesting to actually know how some of that kit might last or actually be as compatible as some of the claims have been given.
Quality, reliability, and the non-invented beer syndrome is definitely going to be key factors in the future.
Oh well, anyway, really nice to see you.
Thanks very much.
Again.
Great seeing you. Thanks very much.
Cheers.
Appreciate it.
This is a stand, a company called RTB. You can see the video running behind, which is for a roadside pillar, I guess you call it, but it's got radar detection built into it. So it's actually providing vehicle detection for passing vehicles from this roadside installation. So that's something that we don't currently do in the UK, and it's giving vehicle classification, which is obviously a reasonably sophisticated system. So it's got a radar array built into this quite diminutive little pillar, roadside post. So maybe something that provides us with capabilities that we don't currently have in the UK. This is a stand for a company called AVT, and I think it provides a really good illustration of the differences in continental traffic signal controllers compared with those in the UK. Here, they put it in a nice perspex box for us, but as you can see how you've got things like the LCD display on the top, and then smaller lamp switch cards in it. Another great thing about coming here is the fact that sometimes you see things that are just done differently elsewhere. So in the UK, we've always put our traffic signals onto poles, but here you can see on the Lacroix stand how quite traditionally they've been using different things to mount equipment on, flat posts. So it gives a whole difference to aesthetics. I'm on the Semaphore stand, and one thing I wanted to show you was this detector, IR Tech. So this is a roadside item that goes into to VRS next to the road. It's a bit similar to one of the systems we looked at in a pillar a bit earlier. But this is obviously a trend. This is an infrared-based system, so it's slightly different. But yeah, it's interesting to see that there seems to be more emphasis on actually detecting vehicles from the roadside rather than, as you can see here, how it's mounted in. So there's a bit more emphasis on not having stuff in the carriageway, which is interesting. Also, they've got a very interesting looking pole at the end here. So you can see the whole thing lights up according to what's going on there with the traffic signals. And if it changes in a second, there we go. You get this big indication. So I'm not quite sure how you get type approval for that for use in the UK or many other places for that matter, but maybe the sort of thing that we should think about sometimes. Another great thing about coming to these large exhibitions is sometimes you see things that you wouldn't get an opportunity to do so otherwise. Now, this is a company called Static Air, and I've seen these online, but I haven't actually ever seen one in reality before. And it's a system to actually clean the air, so it takes particles out of the air. You can see this great big module. It uses static induction, so it has a wire inside and a voltage which then collects particles which then fall down inside this big unit. So you'd have it mounted onto something like a street lighting pole. So in areas where you have got problems with air pollution, you can see the wire in here. I won't touch it because I think it's a high voltage, although it's probably not a real one. But anyway, it's just a different use of technology, and it's a way of actually achieving improvements in the environment. Another different type of exhibitor here, a company called Carp, a Chinese company who make radar sensors for vehicles, so they're looking at integrating into the OEM market. There's some things for RVs and a blind spot detection system for integration. Hello, hi. So slightly different from your traditional exhibitors at these types of exhibitions. Right, well, I thought what I'd do is have a look around some of the other sections of Intertraffic that I haven't looked at so far. So this is the parking pool. Start to really see how big some of this is. It's starting to get a bit quieter now. It's Friday afternoon, but we'll go and have a look and see if there's anything new and interesting to look at. So I'm here on a stand called Carp Protect, and this is a system that can close a parking space, but also when it's open, it can be used to protect the doors from other people, damaging your vehicle. So it can not only give the car protection, but it can also reserve the space. So it could be triggered by a number of different concepts, including reserve parking or private parking, or use AMPR or something like that to actually give yourself a particular parking spot. Anyway, it's a nice simple solution, but gives a good level of functionality. Interesting to see something different. So this is a stand for a company called Damat, but this has got to take the prize today for the best in-controller display that I've seen so far. So I'm at a stand called Tiny Mobile Robots, and they've got a small work robot here. It's used for line painting, etc. So it's got a spray can on the back of it, but it's GPS linked, so it knows exactly where it is, and you can get it to do whatever you want. Apparently it can work for up to 8 hours, so it's a different way of doing. So these exhibitions used to get a lot of big machines and things being displayed, and I think this is the only one that I've seen so far this year. You see the size of this thing. Massive, great truck. It's actually a line painter, but it can be programmed to do a variety of different things. It's got a crash cushion on the back of it, but what it's actually doing, it's intelligent, so it can do very accurate painting on the paper.